Welcome to Watopian Weekly. Welcome. Welcome to Watopian Weekly. Welcome. We're here to talk about Swift Life Beyond. We're here to talk about what's going on. So welcome to Watopian Weekly. Welcome. Welcome to Watopian Weekly, Season 5, Episode 11. We're on video, we're on audio, we're everywhere. Watopian Weekly is a podcast for Zwifters, cyclists, and everyone else. Each week we're here to discuss all things Zwift, life, and beyond. My name is Dustin, and with me we have... fresh off the PRL full. And a full-size order from Panda Express with extra protein, right? Yeah, I still need to go out there and try that. But a guy that should be taking it off probably isn't. Josh! Josh, how are you?
I'm good. Legs are toast.
I bet. And also, fresh off completing the PRL full. But enjoying an iron brew this afternoon. Probably in the sunshine, right? Iron brew in the sunshine sounds delightful. But a guy that doesn't know what the word day off means. James! Hey, James.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're well.
Yes, definitely well. And now, our special guest, the guy that can tell us all about knee extension and how shorter cranks can work for some people, and what it's like to work with James on a very, very personal level. Gareth the Bike Fitter. Gareth, hello.
Hi, happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, we are so happy to have you here. Bike fitting is like some sort of dark art that I think we all need to be more enlightened on, everybody. And this is super cool. Thank you for doing this and for being here and for putting up with the madness and everything that is our morning podcast or afternoon podcast or evening podcast, wherever you like to be. So so thank you for doing this. So every week we like as normal we talk about what's been going on in our weekend. Why don't we have James start us off first because and then we'll go around the horn here. So James, what have you been up to this week besides going up the Surrey Hills virtually?
I didn't do the full 11. Let's get this out there now.
No.
I did 7 laps and I got pretty much so bored that I decided the 2 hours more that it was going to take, I could do better things with my life.
Oh man!
So I didn't complete it, and I have to say chapeau to everyone, including Josh, who did, because it was boring. There was no way. There's no polite way of explaining how brain numbing that Saturday ride was. And anyone who completed it, fair play. Anyone who's completed that badge on Zwift deserves a very big badge or a halo on top of them.
Especially if you did it solo.
Oh my gosh,
at any point. Because I think I was only able to do it because of a large group.
So
go ahead. I'll talk about my experience in a little bit, but go ahead. Yeah.
So, and I must admit, I wasn't feeling 100% when I started, but I just mentally broke after about the 4th lap. And it just went on and on and on. And I can think of it, if you're going to do that distance on Zwift, there are much prettier or nicer routes to do it. So, unless you're a dedicated badge hunter, it does have no seal of endorsement from me from that side.
Man.
Yeah, you are correct.
And there are a few share that with me as well.
Because I jumped in on the because I only did a little bit and then I had to leave and came back and Josh was still on, so I jumped on the voice call with him and Nick and Ashley.
And
Ryan
this dude jumps in on like hour midway through hour 5. We're just wrapping this thing up, and he's like super chipper and talk about like oboes and clarinets or whatever you were talking about. I don't even know. Like,
Yeah, you don't even remember.
I don't even remember. I was just like zoning out. I'm like, this is. I appreciate that you're yapping on because I needed some distraction. Well, Nick and I were appreciative of it.
I was just gonna say hello, and then you guys sounded like you needed something, so I had to stay on.
Over there dying.
Man.
James, like you said, that course is like literally the most boring thing ever. Just up, down, up, down. Like it's not exciting in the slightest bit.
So James, you didn't get the half then either because you have to do that separately.
No, my ego of not signing up to the half means that if I do want those badges, I've got to go back out and do them again. So I accept. I accepted my fate, and I sort of measured that I was going to do. I'll do 100 kilometers. That's a good ride. That's also, a decent distance.
Yeah.
Not realizing that 100 kilometers meant I had to get to the top of Box Hill for the 7th time. I should have just turned around and ridden around London just to tick the kilometers off.
Yeah.
So went up, and then once you've gone up, you might as well get the 3 kilometers going down. And then I was like, I might as well finish the lap. And thankfully, I then got off the bike because it would have been, but I could do another Box Hill, and I could do it. So I think it was that. Where Josh had been actually posting the estimated finish time, I worked out it's probably about another 2 hours, 10 minutes on the bike,
Oh,
and
man.
I was like, no, just like, no, that's me done. I'm finished. I will come back to that later at another time when A, I'm a bit fitter, and B, I've just got the right mindset from it because it was horrible. And yeah, just on the other 2 things that I've done today, we did obviously the Zwift Racing League final race, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Yeah.
And I completed my 100th Flamme racing race on Friday around an equally horrible, terrible course in Yorkshire. So actually, I think Zwift's horrendous. I'm going to find a platform that just is flat stuff for the rest of the year.
Yeah, right. Well, just plug in your
It's only
Garmin
going to
and
be
just watch that. Yeah.
Help us with reverse.
Well,
Yes,
at one point they did have pins up there for some reason, and then I don't know whatever happened to that, but yeah. Anyway, but okay, well, so James had a negative experience during the PRL full. Josh, what about you?
I mean, I almost quit like halfway through too, just because I think I went out a bit aggressively with the carbs and nutrition, and that just honestly made me feel a little bloated and not great, to be honest. So I was really struggling there for like the 5th and 6th Box Hill, and then I was just like, all right, I'll do one more and see how I feel after that, and then kind of felt fine for the most part after. But my nutrition the rest of the ride, 2.5 hours or whatever it was like not great, to be honest. Like I didn't really do hardly any carbs or anything, and just pretty much water, and paid the price for that. But I'm glad to have this stupid route badge done because this course is just so dumb. Like I hate it as much as James does. But
did you stream it as well? I forgot to ask.
Yeah,
I did stream it. So if you wanna watch something to fall asleep to for 5.5 hours, like that's
And then there was, and I watched because I checked it out. You have 123 views, so 123 people watched that. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Why?
Yeah. I don't know. They were struggling getting people to sleep. They must have kids at their house. Or something
for stuff like this, really the only motivation to stream is to get the occasional like person popping in for encouragement. That's literally the only reason. Like I can't think of any reason why watching something like that for even an hour, let alone 5.5, would be at all
Yeah, I don't know.
entertaining. But
5.5. Oh, they probably streamed at the local bike shop. Probably.
yeah, definitely. It's like
Oh,
World
man.
Cup material right here.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I can summarize the first 7 laps of basically me and Josh dropping off the back of the front group and having to do interval sprints to get back on.
Yeah,
And then it was either me or it was Josh, but she seemed to do it more spectacular. He had wider gaps that he had to close, whereas I just sort of drifted away because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
man.
funny because I got, who was it? Ben and Todd saying like, "Oh, thanks for being a sweeper," and it's like,
Mm.
I don't think I did that intentionally. I think I just stopped paying attention for like a couple minutes, and then was like, "Oh shoot, there's like a 10-second gap or a 5-second gap. I need to bridge back."
Well, I had a completely different experience, and I would do it again because I was out there I was planning on doing the half, and that was only 50 miles, but then I ended up I got called for a gig, so I had to leave. So I only did the first hour, and it was pleasant. 2 times up Box Hill. It was great. Yeah.
That still sounds unpleasant, to be honest with you. But...
I'm sorry to laugh, but I mean, it's just like I understand the pain because I mean, I don't know that I could do that for 10 of those. I think 5 or 4. Is it 4 for the half or 5? 5.
4 for the half.
4 for the half. I could do that
because 50% of 11 is definitely 4. So
right, that makes sense. So I could do that, but
there was absolutely no bitterness over people doing the half when you're like, you've only got to do 4. We've got to do another 7.
Yeah, when I jumped back on, I mean, like these guys were salty as the sea air. I mean, it was something else. I mean, like if anything, tune in for the last 5 minutes of Josh's stream, and you'll hear some. First off, you'll hear me rambling about trying to distract these guys because they were. I think Smash It was on their way up the hill, and you guys were on the just like 2K from the end. So I was trying to distract Nick and Josh as much as I could. I was talking about the differences between baritones and euphoniums, which if we really want to get this
oboes and clarinets.
Yep,
right?
yep.
Well,
clarinets did get brought up, but if we should lose listeners, I can talk about that some more if anybody really wants to hear. But no, probably not. All right. Anyway, yeah.
Dustin, you would have without doubt finished me off. Even if it had been 5 kilometers to go, I think I'd have been like, I'm done.
Yep.
But,
yep.
Oh, so it would have the opposite effect on.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, opposite.
You'd be like, meet this guy.
However, through gritted teeth, I will say a massive thank you to Todd, Ben, and Susan for their roles in making that horror fest happen and covering the different pens and the different groups. Even though we will say Ben's definition of a sweeper might need some adaptation as he was off the front of the race for pretty much all of it, leaving poor old Todd to lead the group ride and pretty much sweep at the same time with Josh's help. So a massive thank you to those guys and gals.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was super excited. I couldn't believe there's over 120 people there that were there. I mean, it was awesome. So that was fantastic. Well done. And
idiots,
and so,
absolute idiots.
No, it was great. All right, so that's pretty much what we've been up to. Gareth, what have you been up to this week?
Nothing too much. A lot of boring indoor zone 2 kilometers. I've signed up for to do 1,000 kilometers between. Oh, it's not that bad. It's like between the 1st and the 24th of December. Okay. But alongside getting ready for Christmas and family stuff and working, it didn't sound that hard. But yeah, it's just a lot of sitting in my garage on my turbo setup for 90 minutes at a time. Watching the cyclocross for the last couple of days in front of on my turbo trailer.
Oh man, and how do you find that? Are you okay with that, or do you get focused in on that, or do you like when you're following the corners? Do you ever almost fall off or anything?
No, it's for what I've been doing. It's pretty easy because I've had last 2 days I've been watching the cyclocross. Before that, I was watching F1. I don't have to pay attention to the elastic snapping and then sprint in a gap. I just sit there and get into my own little world. So,
Oh wow, man! But
yeah, listening to you guys
kilometers.
about
Yeah.
11 laps of Box Hill virtually, and if you daydream, you then have to sprint back onto the bunch. Yeah, that sounds a little bit more exhausting than what I've been doing.
Well, but that's still impressive, though, man. 90 minutes at a time. I remember, well, before Zwift, way back when, and years and years ago, when I would ride my rollers, and I was lucky to get 30 minutes in, or even on a fluid trainer, like 30 minutes or something like that, or watch a movie or something. Yeah, staring at a wall or staring at a clock. I mean, oh, it was just horrible. But so this is so much better than it used to be. Yeah, and that you can watch F1.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
But yeah, we should move on to our main talking points here, because we got to get down to the bike fitting stuff, because that's the we've got a lot going on here. So we'll get to that. So let's do a quick wrap up of ZRL, everybody. So ZRL, oh my gosh, it's over for this round. We've got a couple of weeks off. Everybody in my group was listening to Josh and Gina, or James and Gina, and they attacked right where they talked about, and I got smoked. I was in a bad way. Like I was definitely didn't do well on those escalators. How'd you guys do? Or well, James, how James do, because Josh was he was off doing something else, doing ladder or something crazy like that. But
well, the good news is nobody in our race was listening to the podcast. However, I went and tried to go on a breakaway about 9K from the finish.
Yeah,
and
Distortion was winning. Yeah,
we were looking pretty good. I should have just screenshotted it and said we won and lied, because we got into I got into the park. I never got more than a 10-second gap. And I sort of worked out that I needed about 20 as a minimum. In hindsight, from where I finished to the person who won it, I needed 1 minute 45 seconds. So that was ambitious. But I got caught, tried to recover, was with everyone at the front up the first. So the climb, Gareth, for your sort of say, it was a hockey stick course, which it's only about 25 kilometers long, but the last bit was all the climbing was at the end. And the climb has got 3 plateaus. So I was with everyone on the first plateau, and then I wasn't with everyone. My legs were going round. I thought the bike fit was lovely, but everyone went past me. So I ended up finishing 32nd. I did actually catch one rider back up, but
that's good right there, because I figured right there, Gareth, he was going to throw you under the bus. I thought he was going to say everything was fine, but the bike fit was off, and like I would have won.
It's that fine line, because we talked about it last week. If we'd have stayed as a group.
Yep.
We're taking the climbers to the start of the climb, and they're going, "Thank you very much. See you later." So
yep, that's what happened.
I'm happy that we tried to do something different, and at one stage, just before we got caught, there were 2 of us from Coalition out front. However, that didn't help, because we had a big tail behind us of very happy climbers who took full advantage of it. But yeah, so the team overall finished 5th on the night, which we always seem to finish 5th, so it didn't make any blind bit of difference. The only downside is, I think if I'd have stayed with the group and just went full gas on the climb, I probably would have finished a lot higher. But is what it is. Glad we made a difference. But we'll look at next rounds and see what we can do from there. But bit disappointing. But is what it is.
Yeah, I watched people attack there at the escalators, and then we ended up as a group being able to pull them all the way back, which I was super, super happy about, because, all taking turns pulling everybody back. We get everybody back, and we get to the end. We're still on the climb all together, and then that's when everything just broke apart. And I thought, oh, this is it. This is my time. This is my time to shine. Let's go. You're the best around. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. None of that happened. I was there for a little bit and then just blew up. But I got to give it out a huge shout out to the Rovinator on our team and Smashley in C1 there in Indigo, because on our Coalition Epiphany, because man, so it was fifth and sixth. They got fifth and sixth. Rovan got fifth, and Smashy got sixth. It was incredible, especially listening to them, being able to get up there. That was awesome. I was very, very happy and just shouting motivation from the back of the pack because that was awesome. So impressed with their performance and everything, and it was a good round. I don't know if we'll get because of their efforts though. We moved up, and I think we ended up like fifth or sixth for that race. So before, and then that bumped us up out of relegation. So I think we're going to be stuck in C1 again next round.
Oh, no.
Which I was hoping we were going to get bumped down to C2, but that's okay. It's all right. But yeah, all right. So next round's coming up in January, which we'll preview that in another episode here. So that's coming up, and boy, that's going to be fun. So shout out to everybody who did that. That was great. All right, how about FRR Super 6? James, it says here that you really enjoy Yorkshire here, I believe. Is that right?
It's a bad week for me, isn't it? Because that absolutely sucked. Just Yorkshire as a course, you just seem to be climbing. It just never, it's never down. There is some downhills, but it never feels like there are any. And we did the double loops course, which is basically all the way around all the roads and back the other way from there. And to be fair, I actually had quite a good race, but it was hard work. And just got caught on the final climb. So touching on the velo score, I positioned 29th, and that's what they had me finishing as. Probably could have got 26, but I just couldn't hold on to the front group after the first major climb. They just absolutely toasted me. But I was racing for Coalition Newman. We finished second on the night, and Jonathan in our team finished second in the race as well. So congratulations to him. And a big shout out to Greg, who massively overperformed on his velo ranking and finished, I think, just around the top 10, which was a brilliant result. The only problem, he was a sprinter. And when it came to all the segments, the sprint segments, he wasn't with any other sprinters. So he had to sort of do a lot of it on his own. So he sort of got himself in a bit of a pickle from that side, but scored really well. So really pleased with that. But yeah, Yorkshire, horrible course. And again, yeah, I'm not looking forward to next week, which is back to New York and everything bagel. So the New York KOM again. But yeah, Josh, how did you get on?
I haven't been doing the Super 6 this time around, only because the pen sizes are so small. So like I think last race was down to 7 in the pen.
Wow.
I think.
Oh, okay.
Was that just because of time slot, or do you think?
I think there's really only like Coalition and OTR that are like actively fielding teams in it. So
in that time zone or time slot.
Yeah. It's a lot of the same folks that do ladder too. So
yeah.
On
the European time slot is the biggest one, even though there's been a little drop off of teams. It'll be interesting. There'll be a big push for the final round. So hopefully we can get the US teams up and running. It's in January as well. So I think where more people are actually focused on bike, there might be a bit more appetite to get more people sort of out and about and more teams out for round 3. But yeah, New York next week for the last race of the round. As you can see, I'm absolutely looking forward to it. Brilliant. Thanks, Rich.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Well, we're going to come back to some of the events that are coming over the festive period here in a little while. We got to get to Gareth. He's been waiting so patiently. And Gareth, we have tons of questions for you. I mean, James distilled all this stuff down to some of them, and we have a lot going on. And so if and go ahead and deviate however you need to. But we need to talk about bike fitting and everything, and and how this works. And we've had lots of questions, especially internally. Like we've been talking about this a lot. You probably talk about this all day. And so thank you for joining us.
I love it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on your day off about this. And when we talk about bike fit, we are going to talk about the indoors and outdoors stuff too. But can we talk about right there? When should someone get a bike fit? Is it only when they get a new bike, or is it if they have a bike that they've been riding for a while and they are just feeling discomfort? Or if a bike feels fine, why bother with a bike fit? What is a reason why we should bike fit? Let's start with that.
Well, all the things you just said. So you get a new bike. You know, if you spend a lot of money on a new bike, if you dropped a lot of money on a new suit, you'd probably get it tailored. You think about what bikes cost now, the price of a fit compared to the overall price of a bike. You know, why not get it perfectly dialed in for your biomechanics? So new bike is a great one. Coming back from injury, there seems to be a lot of people I'm talking to at the moment having knee or hip replacements in the UK. So that's, you know, a biomechanical change to your body. If you've put on or lost a lot of weight, if you've increased your flexibility or you've lost flexibility or mobility, I would generally say my customers fall into three groups. There's people who are chasing performance. So they're generally more experienced cyclists. You know, they might be racers like you guys, indoors or outdoors. You know, a lot triathletes is a prime one. I know they're kind of only a little bit cyclists, but whether they're competitive or not, they're racing the clock. You know, they're always trying to improve. So anyone who's doing anything against the clock and thinks they're a little bit out and thinks there's some free watts. So performance is the first one. And then people who've got an issue, so any kind of like ache, pain, pressure or discomfort, you know, saddle pain, knee pain, foot pain, numb hands, shoulder pain, neck pain, you know, list is endless. Something that I sort of experienced personally, I've been a mountain biker for 35 years. I've been a roadie for about 20. For the first 6 months of my road journey, I just thought having sore knees and a bad back was part of it. But like, you just had to suffer. And then I had a bike fit and that all went away. So people chasing performance, people with aches, pains, pressure, discomfort, and then people are just curious. And, you know, it's like, oh, you know, I think my setup's good, but, you know, I've done it all myself and I've seen all this stuff on YouTube or I've read, you know, I just hear all this random information. I just want someone to come and sort of just talk me through the process and get me set up properly. But yeah, so any change to your physiology, like you've been injured, you've lost or put on weight, you used to do a lot of cycling and then you've had some time off and you come back, your body might have changed. You're thinking about amping up your volume. So if you're, I'm going to do a big event, and before you go crazy up in your volume, probably a good time to get a bike fit. You think about all your muscles, like a rubber bands. You can stretch a rubber band so far and it will keep going back. If you stretch it a little bit too far, you might start to tear it. And, you know, think your hamstrings, rubber bands, your saddle's 5 mil too high, and then you double or triple your volume. Yeah, you can lose a lot of bike time by not getting a bike fit.
Wow. I appreciate the helpful analogies, honestly. Those are actually really good comparisons.
If you jump out, I mean, I when I'm doing my zone 2 stuff, I probably rate a cadence of like 100 on the turbo this week. And you do an hour, it's 6,000 revs. And if your saddle's too high, that's 6,000 revs. Your hamstring just getting tweaked a little bit further than it wants to go.
Wow. Yeah, wow, that's a good point. I recently dropped my saddle about 10 millimeters because it was out, and I guess I just didn't even realizing it. And well, we're going to talk about that too. But let's stay on target. Stay on target. All right. But yeah, and then what we have a question here about what's the biggest things that people are what's the biggest misconceptions about it? That well, I guess that's it. Basically, that it's not for everybody. That's only for racers, but it is for everybody, right? I mean, like you just said, yeah. Absolutely. So, I guess how do you start like a fitting process? Is it one of those things where you bring your bike, or do you usually use like a stationary, like some sort of fitting bike, or how does the process start when a fitting?
So the way we do it at the Bike Fitters, certainly in the UK, we're the only mobile bike fitters. So as opposed to you having to take your bike or bikes for all to a studio, and I'm not saying studio fits are bad. There's lots of different people doing fits. Some are good, some are bad. But we come to you. So I come with my van, I bring all the kit. And our big thing is we fit your body, the body you have right now, to the bike you have right now, or the bikes you have right now. And because I'm mobile, if someone's got 5 bikes, I can fit all 5 bikes. You know, went to see James the other day. We did 2 of his bikes in the same session. He didn't have to travel or anything like that. So the rough and the process is, it kicks off. We have a pre-fit assessment. So I'll ask lots of questions around your riding history, the type of riding you're doing. Are you training for any events? What are the courses going to be like on those events? Have you had any crashes? Have you had any operations or big injuries lately? Are you experiencing any discomfort, aches, pains, pressure, discomfort on the bike? So that gives me a real good picture of like who you are as a cyclist. And I'm starting to get a picture of biomechanically, like, oh, you've got an injury, like one of your knees doesn't bend as much as the other one or something like that.
Yeah.
And, oh, my hands go numb. My hands go numb 30 minutes into a ride, or I get real saddle pressure, discomfort, an hour in, or if I'm going really hard on the drops, I get all this pressure or I don't need it. I then we do a biomechanical assessment. So get the yoga mat out. So I'm looking at symmetry. So how symmetrical is your body or asymmetrical is your body? Your range of motion, is everything working as it should? Is there anything I need to take into account? Again, sort of like old injuries, surgeries, and me getting this picture of like, okay, I know about the rider. I know about the riding they want to do. I now know how their body works. And then from there, dive into using some of the specialist equipment. So I'll measure people's feet up. So we use the ID match system. So I'll measure length and width of someone's feet, but I'll also measure where the metatarsal heads are. So the toe knuckles. And that helps us work out cleat placement. So I'll do foot measurements. I'll then work out cleat placement, get the shoes on a jig, refit the cleats. We use a ID match saddle caliper, so I'll do saddle measurements to work out how wide of a saddle you need, whether you need a cut out or a pressure relief channel or not, and why you might need that. And then once we've done all that, we get to start the fun bit, and the fun bit is I'll get your bike on the turbo trainer, get you warmed up, start making a few observations based on what you might have told me. I get numb hands. So if someone's got numb hands, the first thing I'm looking at is, well, how have they got their hood set up? They got their bars nice and flat with a nice flat hood that just maybe comes up a little bit? Or have they got like a janky bar set up where the bar rolls down and the hood comes up and there's a big V that they're driving their hands into? Or if their saddle's too high, is that meaning they're straightening their arms and leaning into the hands? So all that information I gleaned earlier about symptoms they're experiencing on the bike, I'm starting to look for that in the setup as they're warming up. And then once they're kind of warm, because people jump on turbo trainers, the first few minutes are pretty janky. You need to get them warm. Once they're warmed up, we split the bike into two halves. So first thing I'll do is look at saddle height and saddle position. So bearing in mind, I've already set the cleats. So the cleats in the right place. That's the first point of contact, feet. I'm then looking at the, I don't know, in American, the butt or the bottom, as we say in the UK, the third point of contact. Saddle height. So we set that off leg angle. So based on the rider's flexibility, I'm looking for a leg angle of about 145 degrees, maybe a little bit more if the rider's super supple and flexible. So we get the saddle height. I'm then looking at saddle position. So that can be saddle angle and fore and aft. And that's all around we're making sure that we're protecting the rider's knees. We've not got their knees behind the pedal spindle because that causes all manner of issues. And then once I've got that kind of dialed in, so I've got your feet in the right place. I've now got your hips in the right place in terms of saddle height to give you the most efficient pedal stroke. And a lot of I think we'll probably talk about knees in a little bit, but your poor old knee, you put your feet on the pedals and you sit on the saddle, and then your knee has to take up the slack. If your feet aren't in the right, are slightly off, or your saddle's slightly off, it's your knee that accommodates that. And if it's doing things it doesn't like to do, it turns into knee pain and issues. So once we got the back of the bike set up, we then look at the front of the bike. And this is sometimes a little bit of a dirty word, but we set the front of the bike up for comfort. And when I say comfort, I mean, if you're not comfortable, you can't perform. It's not, I'm going to put the bars super high and we sit up in bed riding a Dutch bike. It's if you're doing, I don't know, 10K time trials. How long is that going to take you? Not that long. So I want to put you in a position that you can sustain for the duration of the event. If, say, you're training for an Ironman, it's a similar position, but you won't be able to be anywhere near as aggressive as a 10K TT position. You need to be able to sit there and be comfortable so you can lay down the watts. So if it's a 6-hour ride, you need to be comfortable for 6 hours. If it's a 1-hour race, if it's a crit or something like that, so comfort is, you need to be able to comfortably sustain this position, because then you can perform. You'd start having to squirm around, you just throwing watts away, and the mental battle as well with, knowing you're not quite right. It just takes your head out of the game. So the front of the bike, if it's a road bike, or a gravel bike, I've got like a stem sizer. So I'll whip the front end of the bike off, and I call them my magic handlebars. I should have brought them with me. I could have shown you, but they're in the van. But it's like, I think of it's like a stem that I got a winder on, so I can change the length of the stem, I can change the stem angle, and I can change the width of the bars. So the bars come in and out. So I can put the handlebar anywhere in space that is possible on that particular bike. So it might be, you need a bigger stem, or if we got you some hover bars, the bars of the rise, or whatever it might be, I can let the rider directly experience what that would be like. And one of the key advantages, and again, not throwing shade on studio fits, I've had studio fits. They're cool when you use the jig, but a lot of time this is your perfect bike position. That's great if you're going to run off and get a custom made bike. But what I can do is say, on your bike, if you went 10 mil longer in your stem, it would feel like this. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I don't feel cramped up. Or if we invert your stem, or we get you on a different width of bar, for instance, that's amazing. So I can let people experience what that feels like on their bike, as opposed to saying, right, this is what perfect looks like for you. Now, how can we extrapolate that onto your bike and get your bike as close to perfect as we can? I sort of say, take your body, let me learn all about your body, let me learn all about you as a cyclist, and let's get your bike as perfect as we can get for your body you've got right now.
This is incredible. That seems a lot more cost effective too. For people.
Well, absolutely. But I'm astounded by the just like dialing in cleats. Whenever I have to change cleats, like because they're worn out or whatever, that is like that's almost as bad as like having to go and buy a new pair of pants or something like that, or like where it's and I mean trousers. Not, I know pants are different in UK, so right. But well, either way.
Oh no, I've got an 11-year-old that watches lots of YouTube. So pants now need, we use that vernacular in my household.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I didn't know that until a couple years ago. But but anyway, but like that, it's just oh my gosh, that's just crazy. And then we need to talk
about on the cleats. Just get an acrylic pen, just draw around the cleat before you take it off, and then stick the other one slap back on, same place.
Yeah, and it's when they like, how often should we be replacing them? I guess every time they wear out, right? But how
much you riding? Like,
exactly.
And how much you walking around? That's what really kills them.
Yeah,
it's not the riding that gets you.
Yeah. I think about that because I wear the same. We don't need to talk about me so much, but I guess I have the microphone. So, but I know my mountain bike shoes are I wear those on my kicker bike. So it's like I don't know. I need to get a dedicated pair of shoes for my indoor setup, I think. But all right. So we this is just incredible. I mean, there's even more questions that are coming up, and I'm trying to stay on here. But how about when people are setting up their own bike for the first time, or maybe they got a new bike or something like that? What's the most common thing that people get wrong? I guess let's talk about that.
I'd say the most common thing people get really wrong is saddle height. And it's not a lot of people, and when I say really, I've never not had to move someone's cleats. A lot of people though do, with cleat placement, they do get them the right in terms of like safe, generally speaking, if you get them if you set them kind of straight and far, in the middle and as far back as you can, that's the kind of like best starting point if you're not getting a bike fit. So a lot of people have them in a safe place, but not an optimal place. Occasionally with the cleats, I had a guy there this week had a lot of like weird lateral knee pain. And I was like, oh, this sounds weird. How are we going to get into this? And then as soon as I got his shoes on the cleat jig, he needed his heels rolled in a little bit. So he was pronated. His ankles roll in, so his feet roll out like duck feet.
Yeah.
So we roll the cleat. We just roll the heel in a little bit and then move the cleat over so there's space so he doesn't hit his pedals or his frame with his heel. But he had the opposite. He had his heels rolled out, and then his saddle position was really far back as well. So he was, instead of pushing down, he was pushing down and forwards. And it's like suddenly, your knee pain's absolutely sorted. But cleats usually movement. But the big one that most people, not everyone, but I'd say like saddle position. You know, if you're within 5 or 10 mil, well, within 5 mil either way, like life's pretty good. You can tolerate it. I had a guy the other day. I dropped his saddle 50 mil. And
That's quite a lot.
He booked me. He'd upped his training volume and torn his hamstring. And then as soon as I see the bike, I was like, we got you covered. But yeah, saddle height's the biggest one where people, I don't know, can have like big deviances. But like, yeah, just pick a rider. It'll be some. Yeah,
if Reddit is any indication, every time I see someone post on like bike fitting subreddit, there's always the first thing people say is your saddle's too low, your saddle's too high. Like,
or like it's because there's so many things out there. You know, like stick the book in your crotch and then take your leg measurement and then times it by like point. I can't remember what it is. That's great if your body composition is exactly the same as the guy who worked that out. But I've got really long legs and a little torso for my height. So I'm only 5'10". I ride like a 56 centimeter bike with like 780 saddle height, which is crazy height for my height. But I've got this tiny little torso. I'm not very good on the road. I've got this like long legs and this little torso that like works like a sail. And then you get other people the other way around. So some of this stuff works if you're slap bang in the middle of the bell curve with the person that came up with the formula. But, you know, all our bodies are different. And particularly if you've had an injury or anything like that, where there's something biomechanically where it's like, there's an issue with something, it's very difficult to then use like one of these kind of like models or, you know, some of the AI fit stuff. You know, it can be a good starting point if you're way out, but in my experience, I've done a few fits on people who've done it, and I moved them fair amount to get them into a different position they preferred. And, you know, never say never. I'm sure AI will come through at some point, but they only do side profile, and it doesn't. They don't look at cleats. I know I'm hopping around on topic, sorry, but it doesn't look at cleats, and you got to start with feet. And then you come up to the legs, you do the hips, and then you come up through all people get all manner of things wrong, and bike fitting, it's a system, and one of the worst things someone can do is go, this bike fitter says this is how you set saddle height, and this bike fitter says this is how you do cleats, and this bike fitter says this is what I should do in my cockpit. And individually, they could be 3 really good bike fitters, but you're mixing and matching different styles. It's a system. They're working to a system like that. So apologies for bouncing around a little bit on that.
No, that's all right. That's because I've done the AI one, and we were talking about earlier, that I had to drop my saddle about 50 millimeters or whatever it is, or not 50 millimeters, 10. And anyway, and that helped out a lot. But like we did not obviously talk about cleat position, and that's something that we need to talk about because it's. I don't live near a bike fitter at all. So for me, this was a good solution instead of me driving 2 hours away to do that. So it's helped.
I played around with some of them, and it's like, it's not, there's a lot of good stuff out there. And if it's available to you and you use it and it gets you closer, if you've got some symptoms and then it helps you, or even if it gives you confidence. What I would say though is if you do use anything like that and it feels janky, look into it a little bit more. Because I say it's only looking at you from your side profile. It's not because I've played around with one of the leading ones, and it's great. But you go on there. I went on. I actually liked it because I went on their their FAQs. And they were like, if you're worried about cleat fit, you should see a real bike fitter. If you're worried about this, I was like, these guys are great. It's like rising tide floats all ships. They know the better ones know their limitations. So it's a good starting point. And it will, because it's just looking at your angles. It's looking at your ankles to your knee to your hip, through your back, and then down your shoulders. And it will get you into a spot that should work okay for most people. But my experience is it's not like optimal. It's like a kind of getting you better, but not perfect.
Yeah, I think I think I heard a phrase that you said, Gareth, was like a good starting point. It may be a good starting point, but if you want something that's truly dialed in, and as these companies have said, like you said, the leading companies recognize their limitations, and that hey, if you want something that actually is going to work super long term and be comfortable for you in the long term, bike fitting in person is probably the way to go.
Yeah. I like the cleat thing is a big thing for me, and and so when we talk about cleats too, and I know we're jumping around a little bit, you're so I'm a road biker. Well, I'm a mountain biker, but I'm also a road cyclist as well. But my history is a lot like yours. Mountain biker first, and then road cyclist second, just because I had to get faster on my mountain bike. Right? Yeah. So
and a lot of mountain bike friends that had to start retiring because they kept hurting themselves.
Yep.
They went over to the road.
Yep. And so but my shoes should be relatively the same, right? If I have road cleats versus mountain cleats, right? Or shouldn't they be? Or
in terms of cleat position, yeah. So there's a little bit of nuance. So, but if you take the middle, whether you're setting like a road cleat, so let's say Shimano ecosystem, whether you've got an SPD SL or an SPD, the middle there's a midline on that cleat that represents the pedal spindle, and you want the pedal spindle in the same place on your foot on both shoes. Now there is a caveat to this. This is if you're riding road or gravel, road, or if you're doing gravel or XC style mountain biking. If you're doing more gravity focused stuff, there's a school of thought that I'm actually an advocate of, is slam your cleat as far back in the shoes you can get it, because it's going to be better for descending.
Yeah.
And if you're just winching up the hill, you don't need that. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to give you any biomechanical issues having it back, but it's going to help you control the bike more. But if you're doing like marathon stuff, XC, you just want to get the watts down, the position for your cleat would be the same across both bikes.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I agree. I'm not a bike fitter, but yeah. Yeah.
That was definitely the case of what you did with my cleats, wasn't it? I apologise that my gravel cleats were not as clean as maybe my road ones. So just a word of advice, anyone who gets
they weren't the worst I've seen.
No, I know, but as probably a word of advice for the listeners or viewers, that if you do go to one, make sure your cleats are clean, and that your bikes are clean as well if you're taking them with you, and don't have a slow puncture in your rear tire if you're going on rollers. That was interesting.
Oh man. Yeah, we'll get to the James edition of this too here soon, because I want to hear about how James's experience was too. But let's keep going through this here. Oh, how about crank arms are like the biggest buzz thing now? I mean, I used to ride 180s, and now I ride like 175s.
180s.
Yes, I know. For like single speed, malarkey and stuff like that. Yeah, so they were up there, So and then we're down to 175s, and now it's like I don't know, that was the norm around here anyway, where I live, and now I have like 175s and 172.5s, but now everybody's talking about like 165s just because Pogacar did it. And now is it because Pogacar's doing it, or is it because everybody? It's a good thing.
I get asked about this, or mainly from my buddies that ride bikes. I get asked about this all the time. I did a little video on Instagram the other day about it. So, shorter cranks. Are shorter cranks better than longer cranks? For road cycling, probably yes. And the reason being is a shorter crank is a smaller circle. Smaller circle means you can pedal a higher cadence. And power is speed versus force. So higher cadence means you can develop the power for a more efficient sort of effort. So yes, smaller cranks theoretically are better. That's why you see the pros going, but
Mhm.
it's like incremental gains because you also see some of the older pros where they're like, I know Garrett Thomas has just retired, but he's like, I started on 1725, I'm going out on 1725. You
Yeah.
know, it's incremental gains in terms of performance. Now, if you're building up a new bike, yeah, spec a 165 crank on it. You know, like go with the cutting edge and the science. But for me, I only recommend shorter cranks to customers when there's a need. So it may be, I'm speaking to a chap this weekend. He's just had double knee replacement. So he's
Oh,
coming
wow.
back he had the double knee replacement. Oh, a couple of months, maybe 6 weeks ago. I can't remember recently, but he's back on the bike from January, and then he's heading over to South Africa for a big charity event, I think in March. So he's got this big ride, and his rehab's going really well, but his knees, he's trying to get them to bend like they used to. It's like, right, we're gonna take you down from 172 to 165. He's on Shimano, and we're gonna bring your cranks down. Same sort of thing. A guy who broke his hip recently. It's the shorter crank. If you say you're on a 175 and I bring you down to a 165, math is easy. So I'm bringing the pedal 10 millimeters close to the bottom bracket. So I'm going to put your saddle up 10 mil to offset that. But then the crank at the top of the pedal stroke is 10 mil lower than it used to be. So I've given you 20 mil of space, which when you think about the knee angle and the hip angle that you need to get through, it's greatly reduced. So if you've got like a hip impingement, hip or knee injury, it's going to really like accelerate your ability to get back on the bike because you're not asking your body to do things. You can build that strength and mobility through that smaller range much quicker. So if you're treating something like that, another thing that sometimes see on usually smaller bike brands, you sometimes they'll just spec a 1725 crank on their XL and their XS and everything in between.
Mhm.
And say you're, I don't know, a 5'1" female rider, and you've got a really small bike that's everything perfectly fits you, apart from the cranks of 17. The shape you have to put your legs. So your crank length needs to be appropriate for the size of your body and your bike.
Yeah.
Or, is it going to be biomechanically advantageous for you? And then the other thing I say to people, look, if you've got the money and you just like buying bike stuff, we all like that, and you want to buy shorter cranks, go for it. It's not going to hurt you. But if you're having to save that cash up, particularly if it's like a power meter crank, there's like loads of stuff I recommend you buy before that to improve your performance. Like dropping the shorter cranks, unless unless you're at the cutting edge of the pro tour, it's not going to make a tangible difference apart from maybe making you feel a little bit better, in my opinion.
Okay, so is it
as long as the crank you're on isn't causing you an issue. So if you've got any kind of issue with knees or hips or anything where it's the crank length is making your body go through a shape it doesn't want to go through, that's when I'll always go for it. But it's very in vogue at the minute, and a lot of bike fitters are like, everyone needs to go on the shortest cranks. And like in the ideal world, yes, shorter cranks are better, but it's like people don't need to be spending hundreds of dollars changing their cranks out if they don't have any issues.
I watched Berm Creek on YouTube who did an experiment with 85 millimeter cranks on a mountain bike. And it looked like the most ridiculous thing. Probably spent
it sounded like moto pegs.
Yeah, exactly.
It was pretty hilarious.
I'll have to check that out. Well, and Josh, you just went down on yours. You went down to 165s on your kicker bike, right?
Yeah. So I started off 175, and then eventually dropped down to 170, and I'm at 170 now. I did try to do 167.5, and it was just I'm a guy who likes lower cadence, like above 85 is like uncomfortable for me. So like I'm usually spinning at 75 to 85, and the shorter cranks just was not for me because of that.
Yeah.
If you're winching climbs, like real slow cadence stuff, you will give up. You're giving up a little bit of leverage for sure. So I ride a lot of gravel, and I've come down from a 172 to a 170, but because I went up a tire size and I was getting toe overlap, so that's another reason you might come down.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit worried that, like, there's really janky steep climbs, but it's not been too bad. But I think if you drop like 5 mil on your crank length, certainly on the mountain bike side, I know it's like losing your easiest gear, but with mountain biking, you get some real low cadence winch stuff.
Right.
So you might find you need to maybe look at your gearing as well to sort of match, going to shorter cranks, make your gearing match that higher cadence. It's no use dropping your cranks and having like big, like slow cadence gearing, because it's you're mixing apples and pears. It's not the
right. And so if you're dropping your just to recap that real quick, if you do go to shorter cranks, does your saddle go up or down?
If you go to shorter cranks, your saddle will go up because the pedal's coming closer to the bottom bracket.
Okay. I was just curious if that's why Pogacar did that, for like aero gains or something like that. But yeah, I don't know, like if you got smaller on the bike, but I don't know.
No, I'd say it's probably to do the cadence stuff, because like that when he does that seated climb attack, and he's just spinning away sat down.
Yep.
But I don't know. It's pure speculation. I'd love to spend 5 minutes inside his head.
Yeah, exactly.
Aren't you swapping like muscular fatigue for cardio fatigue, basically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what you're doing.
Wow.
Yeah. Force times speed equals power.
Yeah, this is incredible. Yeah, because I was we're talking about building. I'm in the process of building up some new stuff on my old bike for a gravel, and I'm being talked into 170s, and instead of the 175s that are on there right now. And I don't know, man. It's
not 85.
Yeah, not 180s.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'10" as well, so yeah.
You'd probably be okay with a 170. I mean,
yeah, and I think
you'd probably be okay with a 175 as well, though. So,
yeah, and my new mountain bike, newer mountain bike, 2023, I think it has 170s on it or 172s. I can't remember, and that's been excellent. So, I mean, that is there, and I do feel it, man, when I get on that bike, because those are longer. Like it's, I don't want to brag about my crank length, but it's sorry. Yeah, all right. Sorry, all right.
One last point on gravel and mountain as well, though. Depending if you're riding somewhere really rocky, or there's like lots of gullies or things like that, pedal strikes on the ground. So a shorter crank gives you more clearance.
Yes.
On the road, that's not a thing, but on the mountain bike,
yes, it is.
Sometimes there's a very worthwhile trade-off to coming down in crank length. And if you're riding like real chunky gravel, but champagne gravel, you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, but that's a good point. And also, especially on mountain bike, because I on my mountain bike that it has newer cranks, shorter cranks, I have less rock strikes than if you look at my other mountain bikes. They're all chewed up.
The only instance for road where I could see it's super beneficial is crit racing for cornering.
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I know. We've talked a lot. I know. Let's keep going. Sorry, Gareth. I know you got a lot going on today. How about saddles?
It's all good.
Cutouts or no cutouts? What do we got here? Is this just go ahead.
Depends on your biomechanics. So, so if you think about, if I was to say, hey, stand up and touch your toes with and don't sort of cheat, let your bend, don't let I don't care about how tight your hamstrings are. I want you to hinge through your hips. So, that like deadlift move or the kettlebell swing, like how much can you rotate your body through your pelvis? Mm-hmm. So that's something I do on all my sort of biomechanicals. I'm saying, like, how much if I say bend your body over, how much does your pelvis rotate? And people can be quite stiff, so their pelvis won't rotate that much. They don't need a cutout. Perfectly flat saddle, because their pelvis, they're not rolling forward very much. They're sat on their sit bones. If they roll forward moderately, so they're rolling off to the sit bone into that kind of central part of the pelvis, having some sort of pressure relief channel is going to be really handy. And if they're moderately to really flexible, so, they can touch their toes or get their hands flat on the ground if they're really well conditioned, they're going to be rolling a lot through. So their sit bones are coming off the saddle and they're putting a lot of pressure to the perineum, that soft tissue like between your legs. They need a cutout. So if you put someone who's got quite, can't rotate through their pelvis very well, you put them on a saddle with a cutout, it isn't going to hurt them. But if you put someone who does rotate through their pelvis on a saddle that doesn't have a cutout, they're going to feel it. So a lot of bikes now are getting spec'd with a full cutout because it kind of serves most people. It'll serve most people. Whereas the older school saddles, particularly with like as geometry, especially on kind of race bikes, like that new Factor 1 that's just come out, like really for almost like a TT style saddle position, very steep seat angle, like low front end, you're hunkered down, your aero, you're rolling through. So if you don't have a cutout in your saddle, you're going to have a lot of pressure where you don't need it. And then you're going to think, oh, well, I need to drop the nose of my saddle to get that pressure away. But then you're sliding off the front and getting the pressure in your hands and constantly scooting back. So so they're showing up everywhere, but I think it's just because it's an easier option to spec them, because they in theory they should work for more people than a traditional flat saddle would.
Wow. Yeah. Anyway, so then, this is amazing, and I know we got to get to the indoor versus outdoor thing, but real quickly, how about what is about the frame? The frame. How does the frame limit or help people in this? Because a lot of times you'll see people, like in the old days, like I ride a 56 like you do, but in the old days I would have been spec maybe a 58 or something like that, and like if it was the 70s, I would have a huge frame and smaller saddle or saddle height. But so how much does the frame affect everyone? Affect the fit, I guess.
Massively. The big thing with like so race versus endurance geometry is a big thing. Now, if you have, if you've done the work, well, if you were born lucky and you can just contort yourself into a race kind of bike fit, good for you. Or if you've done the work and you've got good core strength, you've got good flexibility, you can have a low front end and develop power. A race bike's going to work. If you have an office job, you spend a lot of time driving or driving a desk, your hip flexors are going to be a bit shorter, your hamstrings are going to be a bit tighter. You're not a pro athlete. Those guys spend years and years and years, and they've earned the position that they have on a race bike. And there are a lot of amateurs out there that can ride race bikes, but you kind of need to be honest with yourself, because a race bike is usually lower and longer. So when I say lower, I mean like lower stack. So the handlebar from the bottom bracket vertically, and then longer is in terms of reach, so the bottom bracket to the middle of the handlebar. Endurance bikes are a little bit shorter and a little bit taller. So they just move you up a little bit. So most amateur riders would be better served with an endurance bike. And most bikes now, if you buy them, you'll get, 15 to 30 mil of stackers between the frame and the stem. If you start off on a bike like that, you can start coming down on the stack and working on your body to get into that race position. So it can make a massive difference. Generally speaking, if you buy an endurance bike and it's the right size, you'll get a good fit. But if you get carried away and buy a race bike and you don't have a bike racer, you haven't put the work into a bike racer body, and the race bike geometry, like I mentioned the Factor 1 a minute ago, it's getting more and more, I say extreme, but it's getting, the science is getting better, it's the cutting edge, but you can't just come off the street and go, I just watched Poggy win the Tour de France, I've not cycled before, I'm going to buy a Factor 1 or a Colorado, forget which one it is. It's going to hurt you. It's going to be really hard to get into that position. So it can make a massive difference. I mean, there's stuff we can do. You can make a tall bike, you can bring it down, but you can't put stack on unless you invert stems or use hover bars, like riser bars. But then you don't have, it ruins the look of the race bike. So I would say And what's encouraging for me as a bike fit at the moment is endurance bikes used to be a little bit like, oh, they don't look cool. Now endurance bikes look like race bikes.
Yeah.
You know, you have to
Yeah.
sort of stand them next to each other to tell the difference. Like, you know, there's some of the
Right.
Pinarellos. It's like, oh, you don't side by side, like which one's a race bike, which one's the endurance bike. But it can make a massive difference, and people need to be honest with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you've ridden lots of race bikes, buy a race bike. If you're never had a race bike, get a bike fit first just to check you're going to be able to handle it. You might be able to handle it, and then you can buy it with confidence. But don't buy a super cool bike just to ride it for an hour and then think, oh my God, this thing's killing me.
Don't drop.
But doesn't it look great in the coffee
money.
shop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't drop gobs of money if you're not confident.
Yeah.
And,
Oh man. Yeah. If I think about my, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I was gonna say. So I know you talked about like some pretty fancy equipment. That sounds like you use. But what innovations in fitting tech are you excited about?
Oh, I was thinking about this today. So we're quite old school with the way we do it. You know, we use a very old school sort of gonometer. So like basically just like an angle finder, and we use that on people's knees to set position, and then we're just looking at, you know, the rider and moving people around. So I'd say like this is gonna make me seem like such a bike nerd, but like Wolf Tooth just brought out their new SPD pedal where you can change the Q factor on it, and I was like, that's really cool. I can play around with different Q factors instead of having to buy 3 sets of pedals. But honestly, one of the things that I've most excited about at the moment, and this is probably more in your guys' world than the bike fitting world, is stuff like does it move MUOV, that new indoor bike?
Yeah.
That like moves like an outdoor bike.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, that's actually quite cool. And the reason I sort of mention it, and apologies, I'm sort of jumping ahead onto the indoor versus outdoor, but a bike fit's kind of a window. It's like an operating window. Mm-hmm. And as I say, like there's a few different systems out there, and like if you get a good technician that's got a good system, they'll get you into a window. And you know, your flexibility on a Monday morning is different to your flexibility on a Friday afternoon, and things. You know, your body has to, you know, the bike fit needs to work through a window that works for you. On your outdoor bike, you go around, you're moving around. It's a lot more dynamic. You're up and down. You might be stopping at a junction, but it's just you're moving. So your operating window, say it's X. On an indoor static bike, you're not moving. 60 minutes, you know, on 11 laps of Box Hill. It's 11 laps of Box Hill, right? Sat in the same position, just spinning away. The operating window for the fit is much smaller. You know, something that I might be able to tolerate on my outdoor bike fit, and this bike brilliant, I love it. But that same fit come inside 3 hours deep. I'm like, I can ride my outside. I'll ride for 6 hours. Why have I got this weird niggly pain now?
Yes,
but it's because you're not. It's less dynamic. So it's just like this kind of operating window. So come back to your point about what I'm excited about. It's like how indoor bikes starting to behave more like outdoor bikes in terms of that dynamism of being able to kind of like not feel like, I've just been sat here for 3 hours. Like doing 11 laps. Well, however, 5 hours of doing 11 laps of Box Hill.
Well, I mean, that's a perfect segue. I mean, what are some of the differences that people should be looking at between? I mean, because a lot of people are putting their, they're bringing their outdoor bike, putting it on the turbo trainer. I mean, most of us are like that. So, what are some things that they could change, or do they need to change anything? I guess. Yeah.
So first, I'll come back to the point I made earlier around sort of comfort, and sustainability. So you're bringing your outdoor bike, you bring on the trainer, and say like, okay, I know you guys do some quick races, some long races, but say like, right, my events are like 60 minutes, and if you can sit on your bike, your outdoor bike indoors, and you can do your event for 60 minutes, and you're like, feels great, awesome, it works. But say you're like 45 minutes in, maybe I'm getting shoulder ache or something.
Yeah.
I would, and this is something I've done with my own bike, I've relaxed my fit a little bit. So I haven't, cleat position's the same, saddle position's the same, because I want that pedal stroke. That's my efficient pedal stroke.
Yeah.
But I've brought my reach in a little bit and my stack up a little bit. So if you've got a like a Swift ride or like a kicker or anything like that, it's super easy. You can maybe go, oh, well, I've made my bars 5 mil higher and 5 mil closer to me. This is something you can play around a little bit with. If you know what your measurement is, play around with just relaxing it a little bit. But only play around with it if know what you're looking for. It's like, what discomfort are you feeling? And if it is, pressure in my hands or anything that's like just feels like if the front of the bike was a little bit closer, so I would play around. But generally speaking, I would relax an indoor setup off. So I do a lot of sort of for James, for instance, we did his gravel bike and his indoor bike, and I didn't even have. James had already done it. His indoor setup was a little bit more relaxed, just with the way he put it together and kind of optimized it for himself. And then we just tweaked a few little bits around that.
Oh man,
So
James, you're so lucky.
Set up more aero now indoors.
Yeah, indoors.
It didn't help that when I was talking to Gareth about it, and I was complaining because we had a chat beforehand. It was like I'm getting some numbness in my hands and a few other things, but that was the one thing I was moaning about, wasn't I? Probably more than anything else. And I had my bike set up on a kicker climb, and the belt had slipped, so my whole front end of my bike was angled down. To the point where I was putting more weight on my hands, and it was only after we sort of talked I went and like, that doesn't seem quite right, so I popped the wheel back on and put it almost straight up. But interestingly, just even with Gareth just looking at it, his immediate thing, right, they're not level, they're not this, not that, I'm just going to do this. And he talked through the reasoning behind it and then showed it, and just like, that's so blindingly obvious, why didn't I think of that from that side? And then it was sort of some additional sort of tweaks and stuff based on the experience that we had on the gravel setup. Obviously, where my cleat position was one of the more, what do you say? I was set back, and so he moved them forward slightly from there, and gave the ability for me to just open up my hips a little bit more. So then that was reflected on the sort of setup from there, and the changes that have been made. They've been really good. I feel I can pedal smoother. The issues that I've got are me. I need to work on me, and B, I need to work on the other bit in my head, because there's a couple of times where I've been like, I've had enough of this. But what he's done on the bike made total sense when he was explaining it to me as well, and stuff like that. And so far so good. Obviously, apart from the mental experience of bloody Box Hill, pardon my French. But yeah, so really interesting.
Yeah, that's you're super lucky
sorry
to
to interrupt
on there. Yeah, go ahead.
Are all the terrible courses in the UK? Like Box Hill, Yorkshire. Are there any good ones?
We have no comment on the matter.
Yep.
To be fair, New York's pretty horrendous as well.
Yes, the New York maps are. Yeah, I'm over them, I think. Yeah,
we hate New York, and we hate Yorkshire, and we hate London.
only virtually. But
we should do it for another podcast, a list of our top 10 courses that we like and we hate, and have that.
But so and then getting back to the indoor versus outdoor. I mean, is there there's no, as long as the pedal stroke is the same, that's going to keep our power there, right? Where we have, but we just need to talk about like the comfort thing, because that is a thing. I mean, and James, I think you're perfectly fine on that. Like you think that it's going to be fine, and like there's some things as cyclists where you're just like, oh, I just deal with this because this is a different bike. I can just deal with it. That's it. But we can change those things. There's bolts, so we can loosen them, right? And we can do that. That's all within our right. No one's going to come by and say, that's got to go back down that way because Pogacar has his bike like that. We're not throwing shade on Pogacar. I mean, he's got a bike fitter and everything too. But,
no, and I think the biggest takeaway that I had from Gareth visiting was just having someone walk around you, look at you, and be able to observe some of your style and your technique is something you can't really replicate. Right. And that was valuable, because there were comments that was, you look like you're doing this or this thing's from there, and you sort of process it in your mind like, oh yeah, I do. I hadn't thought that might actually play into account, because for me it's it was always, my setup was always about, can I sprint here? Is this fine? And not really thinking about some of the more broader stuff about maybe me on the bike. It was more always about, got to have a wax chain, got to do this, got to do that. So trying to provide the maximum benefit. When actually the biggest thing has always been, need to sort the engine out and make sure it can move in all the ways it needs to. And Gareth did drop my saddle down. It was about 5 mil, wasn't it, in the end, if I remember correctly. So I wasn't at the top, I wasn't majorly out, but 5 mil is still quite a sizable amount on there. And the changes from that perspective, initially getting on, it didn't feel alien in the way. It just felt easier, if that makes sense, which is, good in a way, I suppose.
Yeah. Were you riding with too much flair, just doing a lot of this, flipping no?
Oh,
hair, but
yeah, just whipping his hair around. All right,
probably more. Yeah.
Well, did a point as well about getting, earlier we were talking about sort of virtual bike fits versus human bike fits.
Yeah.
I would also, anyone out there who's getting a bike fit, speak to you'll speak to the fitter before you get the fit. Just say like, hey, what's the follow-up process? Because we'll all come, we'll have a fit, and something I try and do with everyone I fit is like a couple of weeks after I like check in with them. I'm like, hey, any feedback between then, give me a call, send me a WhatsApp, but have that check-in, because particularly if you've got some sort of like, I did a fit on a guy recently and he got no cartilage on the inside of his knee and like his leg bowed and it's 10 mil shorter than the other leg as a result. I thought, look, okay, cool. We're going to get you in the right spot. I'm going to go and see him tomorrow morning because we're just going to tweak a few things because he's a bit of an outlier. But, but make sure whoever you're getting the fit with, you're not going to go into somewhere where they go, hey, cool, right, we've run you through our system. The computer says this is your fit. Go get used to it. Because it'll feel different, but very quickly you should be like, this difference quite good. I like it. And if you don't like it, or there's an issue that hasn't gone away, or it gives you a new issue, make sure that you're working with a fitter that's going to pick up the phone and go, tell me about that. Like, let's dig into it. Let's see what change we need to make. Do I need to put your saddle back up 2 mil, or, do we need to tweak a cleat position? Because that's what you want, and then don't get into, if someone says, I don't do follow-ups, I would not recommend using that fitter because, why don't they do follow-ups?
Right.
Like, no one's right 100% of the time.
Right. And then, to that point, how long should it take how long should you give a fit? Just until if it hurts,
break-in period?
Yeah. Is there a break-in period or get used to period?
No. So, but the general advice, first few rides, take it easy. Particularly, a big change in position is a big change in position. A small change in position that suddenly means you're recruiting new muscles can also be a big change. The first few rides, take it easy, because I literally, I had a guy I did a fit with, and I did my follow-up. He's, I got a little bit of knee pain, like in the middle of the back of my knee, both legs. It's like sounds like referred hamstring pain. Like how easy did you take on the first ride? So, fairly easy. And then we peel back the onion a little bit more. It's like, I did 3 hours on the gravel bike, and on the way ride home, I did 3 max effort sprints. And I was like, okay, cool. You probably just asked you worked your hamstrings in a way they weren't working before, and it's great because it's like the bike felt great, so I did it. But it should feel, that first ride out, maybe the first 20 or 30 minutes might feel a bit alien. Then you'll settle into it, and then it should start feeling quite normal. So outside of getting delayed onset muscle soreness, so DOMS, by going a little bit too hard, outside of that, you shouldn't have any aches or pains. If that saddle discomfort you had that was a 10 out of 10 is now a 5 out of 10, that's great progress, but let's have a chat. Let's get it to a 0 out of 10. But generally speaking, first ride should feel alien for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and then you should settle in and go, it's actually quite good. I quite like this. And then within a handful of rides, you should be like, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
So when should I expect to start winning Zwift races then, Gareth, off the fit?
Yeah.
Ah, how quickly can you get your FTP to 450?
Oh, all right, all right, all right. So,
I don't know.
and James has won. He's won his fair share of races already. Even so James, you should be winning them already. Then, yeah, because you've got a proper fit. So,
It's not annoyingly. I think I've said previously, it's not the bike that's the problem.
yeah,
It's the engine,
It's the me.
Yeah. So gonna have to do some work on that, unfortunately.
And then I have a personal question. I know I've already asked lots of personal questions, but I don't know if you know this or not. But I don't know. I know I'm not the only person this happens, but my knee always has to pop before I feel good on the bike. What do you know why that is? That happens to people, right?
What do you mean when you mean pop? Like click?
It's always gotta like it makes that crack sound or something like that, and then I'm fine. I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know. Is it only on the bike or is it an off the bike thing as well? Does it
I
click
think
in
maybe.
other situations?
Yeah, other situations too, I think. But I always gotta just pop my knee. I don't know. That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. That it's a. I'd have to. Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to have a real good look at you and see your bike. But
Yeah.
that raises the point though. There's one of the questions when I'm, doing the kind of pre-fit assessment. You'd be like, right, tell me about aches and pains. Oh, let's need the pops.
Yeah,
the first thing is, okay, right, describe the pop. Where in,
Right.
And then one of the questions says, and does this happen in life off the bike in other situations, or is it just on the bike? And there's a rule, like a kind of rough rule of thumb. If it's like, this thing only happens to me when I'm riding my bike, I'm like, right, okay, that's a bike fit issue, and I can dial that out.
Okay.
If it's like, yeah, it happens on the bike, it happens off the bike, then I'm into investigator mode. Is it a bike issue that's like you're taking off the bike, or is it like a life issue that you're bringing onto the bike?
Got it.
And if it's a bike thick thing, I can dial it out. If it's something you brought from somewhere else and the bike's aggravating it, hopefully I can lessen the aggravation.
Right.
But in terms of my patch, my territory where I work, I've got a few chiropractors, physios, sports masseuses that I have good relationships with, and they might send me some referrals, and I send them some referrals. But yeah, if it's an off the bike issue, or a bike that affects you, an issue that affects you on the bike and off the bike, I'd maybe get it checked out with a healthcare professional, just get a good view on it, and because then it's something. If you know what's going on with it, it's more ammunition for me as a fitter to kind of work with. So, with that, I'd have to have a pretty good look at you. And
I think it's an old soccer injury, but being a defender and just getting roughed up. Anyway, Josh, go ahead.
Gareth, I think the most important question that everyone wants to know is James the most difficult customer you have?
Oh no, he was a delight. He made me several cups of tea. He even gave me international snacks. I got Dutch waffle. We
got some street waffles in.
Nice.
Yeah, top five.
Yeah,
top three. Pushing for a podium.
Yeah.
Take care of your bike fitters.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what we leave with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is awesome. Yeah. And so Gareth, what are some I know we're getting close to the end here, but what are some do it yourself things that people can do that right now before they book a professional fit? I mean, is it just having somebody walk around you if you can, or record a video of yourself? I mean, that could help, right? Maybe.
I'm not. So if you want to get bike fit, my advice would be to speak to a reputable bike fitter.
Yeah.
But that said, there's lots of stuff you can do yourself. The world you guys are operating in, so online racing, I would say, say you've got an outdoor bike that's working for you, and in the indoor setup, you're getting a few niggles. I would say you can't. as long as you make a note of where the bike was and then what you're changing, and don't change too many things at a time, play around with the stack and the reach, the handlebar.
Okay.
Maybe move it in and up a little bit just to relax it a little bit and see if that means you can go an extra 30 minutes, an extra hour. So that'd probably be annoyingly, you can't fit yourself. So if I make a major component change or get a new bike, I have to give one of my other franchise buddies a call and go and get them to do my setup for me. But I can play around with the front end of my bike because I know directly what that feels like. But and I can set my own cleats because I have my feet measurements, but I can't. My saddle position, I need like someone to sit next to me and do it for me because I'm riding the bike. But playing around with the front end to get your indoor setup like something like somewhere where you feel comfortable. Like it's a pain cave for a reason, but don't make it more painful than it needs to be.
Yeah, and I think knee pain is a big. I think one of the biggest things. That I hear,
do not tolerate knee pain. Sorry.
Yeah, because there's people I've been on just random rides, and like one guy was talking about I've heard about this thing called Zwift knee, and I finally have it. Well, that's probably a cleat issue or something, right?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. And that could be something like exactly what you're saying. That outside you can tolerate it because you're not pedaling all the time. You're coasting sometimes. You're leaning side to side. But this, you're in a static motion, and you're getting all that feedback on your knee. So, yes, that's. I'm definitely gonna. I need to go and get something done with my cleats for sure. But
yeah, I'm pretty convinced after hearing this to get a professional bike fit. Honestly, I think it would be beneficial.
Yeah,
sorry, just on the knee, just on the knee thing as well. Like knee pain comes in lots of. Someone says to me, "Oh, I've got knee pain." The first, this whereabouts. If it's say it's in the back of my knee in the middle, that's potentially referred hamstring. It's like referred hamstring pain. So it could be your saddle's too high. Mm-hmm. Oh, I get it it's in the front of my knee at the bottom, underneath my kneecap, top of my shin bone. That's where your patella tendon, so the tendon where your quads come around your knee and link to your shin. That could be that your saddle's too far back, so you're pushing forwards and down instead of down or down and backwards. It's like, I've got lateral pain through the side of my knee. And it's like, like that. That's potentially if you got your heel rolled out or rolled in versus your natural bone structure. Because if you go for a run, you put your feet where your skeleton puts them. If you suddenly bolt them to a bike and they need to be heels in, and you bolt them heels out, your knees having to take that slack. So there's lots of different types of knee pain, and there's lots of different reasons that could be causing it. But a good bike fitter will be like, okay, describe it, whereabouts in your knee. And they'll go into sort of like detective mode, and they'll be like, all right, so that kind of pain. They'll suddenly be looking at your setup and looking at you on the bike and going, right, like what could be causing that? And then what changes are we making to the bike that are going to assist you biomechanically?
Wow. Yeah, this is incredible. Gareth, we could talk for hours, I think, and you've been so kind to do this. Gareth, can you tell us about your company and how people can get a hold of you if they happen to be in your area? And we're going to put your Instagram up here too, but.
No, certainly. So Instagram's the easiest way. So Gareth.Shaw _bike fitter. You'll have to put up with some of my posts about my mediocre cyclocross results. All my contact details on Instagram. If anyone's got any questions, whether you're in the UK, in Buckinghamshire, where I do my fitting, or further abroad, always happy to help people out with a question. And if you're in the UK, if it's not me, it'll be one of the other franchise guys. So if you're interested, drop me a line and I can either hook you up or put you in touch with someone who can dial your fit for you.
Man, that's awesome. And we'll, I echo Josh's sentiment there. I think that we should definitely get a bike fit. Oh, one more question here. Sorry. So, if you have to go to a studio, and then you're bringing your bike, because like for me that would be I don't think there's any mobile bike fitters around here. I love that idea because coming to my house and doing my indoor bike, my mountain bike, and my instead of I can't bring my kicker bike with me, but that's easy enough to adjust. But like what should you do? Just I mean, I guess you bring your outdoor bike with, and then just write down the measurements or something, or they're going to give you a printout or something. Or
they'll give you your measurements. I would say if you're like Studio Fits aren't the devil. There's some pretty good ones out there, but get them to explain the measurements to you because sometimes you'll get like a PDF.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll have like weird acronyms, or you might make sure you understand. There'll be a geo chart somewhere that says like the seats here, the pedals are here, your handlebars are there. Understand where those reference points are. I had a call with a guy the other day. He'd had a bike fit, and all I needed to do is explain to him. It's like, oh, this is how you you don't measure from the nose of your saddle. You measure from this is a really geeky rabbit hole, but you measure from the 80 mil line. You work up, and he's like, oh, right, cool. And then he had a reference point that he could build from. But because he got this sheet and he hadn't asked like how do these measurements work, he didn't have a reference point. But yeah, understand the measurements they give you, and then if you're relatively competent, you should be able to put them on your bike.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point because I also think like I get too nervous. I get sweaty for lots of reasons. But like going into a bike shop sometimes and there's like you get maybe a little intimidated or something or so this is an intimidating process. And there's always more questions. Like when I drive 2 hours to get a bike fit, on the 2 hours back, I'm going to be thinking about it the whole way. So man.
But yeah, fine. But like make sure the person like. If they'll do follow-ups, like you feel like they're like, just pick up the phone, ask us questions, like work with people like that, and also be aware that like if you've got a road bike and a gravel bike, the measurements, if you get the road bike fit and you whack them onto your gravel bike, it might feel a bit weird, and vice versa, because they are saddle measurements. If you take into account crank lengths, are going to be more or less the same, but then cockpit could be very different. Depending on what you want that bike to do.
Yeah, and same thing for, like you said, cross-country or enduro mountain bikes. That's going to be different too. But saddle length and crank length, or I mean, that should be similar. Okay.
Similar, but and again, enduro bikes, if you're slamming your cleats all the way back, your saddle's probably going to be a little bit lower because you're foot lead. But yeah, we can dive into this rabbit hole as deep as you want to go.
Well, dive into the saddle cutout. Hey. Oh man. Well, with that, Gareth, this has been absolutely incredible. Thank you for coming on and doing this. And I'm sure people are going to be contacting you with questions, and I'll probably be sending you some too. But this has just been absolutely incredible. James and Josh, thank you both for being here. And thank you to this is a perfect time to close the episode. Thank you to everybody for listening, and this week and each week. Please join us on our Discord. Send us some messages. We can get them to Gareth, and also send them directly to him. That would be great. But if you send us an email, someone will get back to you on staff within, I don't know, 2 weeks probably. I've been pretty quick about those actually. So, or somebody on staff will be. But and again, thank you everybody this week, and this week and every week for listening. And you know what? We'll see you in Watopia. All right. Yeah.